My abstractions are amazing, my patterns are so clean, but my app keeps on crashing and nothing works as it seems. Got my little int variable compensating with complex code, 15 layers of abstraction till the whole thing just explodes. I rewrote it all in Rust because safety is a must. Now it takes 10 years to build and my users in disgust. Functional programming is pure, no side effects, that's for sure. But my RAM usage is high, the latency to the sky. Made a simple blog in React with 20,000 deps. It only takes 3 minutes for a single page to fetch. Trained an AI model to predict what users need. Now it hallucinates features that make the whole app bleed. Could have done it all in basic HTML with some vanilla JavaScript. But my ego needed feeding, now I'm stuck and bleeding. My abstractions are amazing, my abstractions are amazing. My patterns are so clean, but my app keeps on crashing and nothing works as it seems. HTML with some vanilla JavaScript. But my ego needed feeding, now I'm stuck and bleeding. My abstractions are amazing, my abstractions are amazing. My patterns are so clean, but my app keeps on crashing and nothing works as it seems.
Yo, I'm the code queen, Silicon Supreme. Your front-end framework's just a broken dream. React Next.js, you think you're so slick, but your components are weak like a GitHub commit. Wouldn't give my number if prod was at stake. Your deployment pipeline's as fake as your take. You can't handle me one way or another. Your code is so disgusting, wouldn't even say hi to your brother. Your React site got funded by investors, bunch of suckers. Your future full of entire refactors. Your React site crashed on site, my vanilla code shines bright.
There we go. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you're at in your day. Welcome in. I'm gonna get the Twitch ads out of the way. I'll let let Bezos get his bucks. But welcome in, everybody. Good to see everyone. We're gonna do a bit of I won't do a very long stream. It'll be like maybe an hour, and I'll go over some tech news, and we'll talk about how tech still sucks, because it does. It sucks big time, and I'll tell you exactly every which way. Hey, Johnny. Good to see you, man, on Twitch. Good to see you. Okay. I'm just letting the Twitch ads play out, but we have got some topics. So normally what I do while the Twitch side gets out of ad jail. Normally what I do is I build a video game in the browser using C, compiled to WebAssembly, and running with just vanilla HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, running on the DOM. No GPU acceleration, no hardware acceleration of any kind, because I'm crazy. I'm a crazy, crazy man. But we've made it real far with that game. We're at the point where all the mechanics are done, pretty much. Well, all the big mechanics, all the big stuff's done, and we're just doing story and other things that are like a bit of polish. However, I thought what I would try is a bit more of a consistent stream, much shorter, like 30 minutes to an hour a day. And I would just cover some tech news. What's going on around the tech world, cover one or two topics, and kind of rant a little bit, add my own little rant about the state of tech and how terrible things are and why we need to do better. So we'll see how that goes. This is day number 2. So welcome in, everyone. I appreciate the support. Make sure if you're here and watching that you definitely give me the subs and the likes and the upvotes and all that. It helps me out, helps to grow. And if you end up liking the message that I'm sending out, then it'll help expand the reach so I can tell more people that we need to do better with software, with web, with video games, with everything tech related. Hardware too. So help me out, help me help you, so we can all have better jobs and make more money. Who doesn't want to do that, right? You're welcome, everyone. You're welcome. So with that in mind, again, welcome in everybody who's chatting me up. I appreciate it. I will dig into a few articles I picked for today's news. We'll start with the one in the title of the stream, and we'll see how far I get in half an hour to an hour, and cover some news. All right, let me get the second screen set up. Looks like it's set up. All right. So welcome to the March 12th edition of Technology Sucks, and we're making it bad, and we're getting paid to do it, apparently, although not so much. There are a few topics in this in today's stream, so I will cover a couple of lighter ones that should go by really easy, and then we'll get into some of the bigger ones. So did you know, just a sec here. All right. So did you know that the C programming language has its own homepage now? It does. It does. It has its own homepage. So if you want to know anything about the C programming language, here you are. c-language.org. That's right. So it gives you the different breakdowns of the different revisions of C. It tells you about where C came from with a nice little video. That's pretty nice. It gives you some community links about where you can learn more about C. Gives you some resources on different formats to kind of wrap your head around different topics with C. Gives you some tools that you can look up. It's pretty nice. I really like it. They did a good job. So yeah, there you go. Straight, simple. Yeah, Monstrous on Twitch says it's a really clean website. I agree. I think this kind of style of website has been lost. It's clean and simple, and the information is just straightforward provided for you. There's no fluff. Unlike, for example, the pinnacle of what it should be, front-end web development, what people typically reach for, React. And when you go to React, to the React blog website, you get this. Hang on, I gotta do this. The creme de la creme. The creme de la creme of websites, right? React is nothing but the best. You should do nothing but React for websites, right? I have been showing this off for probably months now. Still not fixed. But I could just keep doing this all day, because apparently this is how you build a website. Verse the simplicity of something like this. Nothing's going on here. It's really straightforward. Welcome to modern web. All right. So yeah, so the C language has a homepage. It's really nice. Go check it out, c-language.org. I also thought I just, in case anybody's out there in Microsoft land, I thought I would bring up the fact that Microsoft is going to end support for the remote desktop app. Sorry for the flashbang, everyone. But it's ending support for the remote desktop app, and it's getting replaced by something called Windows app. I have no idea what Windows app is. I run Windows with subsystem Linux, and I think it runs really well, honestly. It's not let me down yet. But I have no idea what Windows app is, so I had to go look it up. So in case this matters to you, this is what apparently Windows app is. I've never seen this before on my Windows, so I don't know. Maybe it's for particular versions, or maybe it just hasn't come out yet, or maybe it's just me. I'm not sure. But it's going to get replaced with this. So you're going to apparently just be able to log into all the different devices here, and this is going to replace remote desktop. I suppose that what they're going to do, the new Windows app, oh, it launched in September. There we go. They're going to try and make it like more, nicer with the virtual desktops and all that. The existing remote desktop app is not to be confused with Microsoft's remote desktop connection app that has shipped inside Windows for more than 20 years. This app will continue to exist in Windows 11 after May 27th, and Microsoft says it can still be used to connect machines until the Remote Desktop Protocol, RDP, is supported in the Windows app. The mention of RDP support can mean Microsoft will eventually support personal accounts in its Windows app. You can only currently use the Windows app if you have a work or school Microsoft account. Well, that's probably why I haven't seen it. So there you go. Just in case, it matters to you in any way, shape, or form, I thought I'd bring that up as a news item. And okay, I'll close these off. Give me a second. React gives me a throwing up reaction when I have to use it. Yeah. My website's not so simple, but I am. Yeah. Hey, Botham. Hey, Battle. Good to see you. Yeah, they're not killing RDS. Yeah, it's the app monstrous. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go. We're gonna read this guy. So, as the title of this stream suggests, the NPM packages that everybody loves to use with their favorite front-end framework, whether it's, React or Vite or, take your pick. When you just do that, the whole NPM install, that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy because you're accomplishing all kinds of things by pulling in packages you're never going to check with security vulnerabilities you're never going to know about. And then you get that paycheck, or you accomplish those, you get to look at your Jira screen and all those tickets are completed, and whatever the heck ever. What you don't realize is the amount of issues that you import when you're not at least extremely careful what you're importing and why. And that includes during, well, yeah, that includes checking, like doing like reviews of the packages that you're importing. But who's got time for that? Who's actually going to read the packages, especially when there's hundreds, sometimes thousands of them in your node modules folder? Well, this is why I have often talked about not using package managers and opting to hand pick anything that you need to import, or just creating it yourself. The reason being that if you don't even know how to create these things, then you definitely don't know how to check them to ensure that there are no issues with them. A common argument I hear against, like, why not create your own, like, yeah, why not create your own, reinvent the wheel, let's say. Why wouldn't you want to reinvent the wheel? Well, you're not going to do it any better than anybody else. But if you never reinvent any wheels, then you don't know how wheels are made in the first place. And so you end up in a place where you're importing NPM packages, or it could be crates, or, in Rust, or whatever it is, and you don't understand how they work or why they work. And you just assume that everything's okay and it's all done for you. And again, on past streams, I have said that this is a wet dream for hackers, because they know that they can exploit your, I guess, lack of decision to be fully aware of what you're importing. Let's put it that way. Not necessarily laziness. You might just not have the time for, as an example, but maybe you are being lazy. Who knows? But the point is that just as an industry-wide phenomenon, this idea that you can just glue together different packages and trust that somebody who made the package did it correctly and that there are no issues with it, or very little issues with it, is absolutely mind-blowing to me, and I think it has to stop. And this article is exactly one of the reasons that demonstrates my point. North Korean Lazarus hackers infect hundreds via NPM packages. So this is a very recent article from yesterday. 6 malicious packages have been identified on NPM linked to the notorious North Korean hacking group Lazarus. The packages, which have been downloaded 330 times, are designed to steal account credentials, deploy backdoors on compromised systems, and extract sensitive cryptocurrency information. The Socket research team discovered the campaign, which linked it to previously known Lazarus supply chain operations. The threat group is known for pushing malicious packages into software registries like NPM, which is used by millions of JavaScript developers, and compromising systems passively. Similar campaigns attributed to the same threat actors have been spotted on GitHub and the Python package index. So Python's not exempt from this, and I would imagine other languages, PHP comes to mind with Composer, are probably also not exempt from this as well. This tactic often allows them to gain initial access to valuable networks. In some cases, Lazarus uses this access to conduct massive record-breaking attacks, like the recent 1.5 billion crypto heist from the Bybit exchange, though that breach wasn't achieved via a malicious package installation. The 6 Lazarus packages discovered in NPM all employ typo squatting tactics to trick developers into accidental installations. Is buffer validator. Malicious package mimicking the popular is buffer library to steal credentials. So essentially, they're playing on the idea that you as a human are just going to read the list of packages in your package.json, and you're going to see this, and your brain's going to kind of like hack itself in a negative way, where it's going to see is buffer validator and go, oh, this is like a legitimate package. I've seen this before. But it's really just is buffer. That's the real one. UJ validator, fake validation library used to extract sensitive data from infected systems. Event handle package disguised as an event handling tool, but deploys a backdoor for remote access. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. This seems so innocuous at first glance, but this is insane. Array empty validator, fraudulent package designed to collect system and browser credentials. React event dependency, Pikachu shock, poses as a React utility but executes malware to compromise developer environments. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you read that right. You as a programmer are not even safe. And this is huge for a hacker kind of collective like this, because if they can have access to developer environments, then it means that they can also have access to the things developers are working on. And from there, it just, the world's your oyster. Auth Validator mimics authentication validation tools to steal login credentials and API keys. That's bad. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. These are insane compromises when you just do an NPM install, right? And the reliance on hackers is that you're not going to check, and giving people an easy button to do this has been bad, very bad, in more ways than one. Hacking and compromises like this are just one way that things like NPM have been cancerous to the tech industry. It has to stop. The packages contain malicious code designed to steal sensitive information, such as cryptocurrency wallets and browser data that contains stored passwords, cookies, and browsing history. They also load the beaver tail malware and the invisible ferret backdoor, which North Koreans previously deployed in fake job offers that led to the installation of malware. Fetch additional malware if p.zi is missing or incomplete. Function run p. 2 files if it exists. Check file size, rename to zip for extraction or retry download. Otherwise, you download from C2 using curl. So they execute a curl command and download it. It downloads malware payloads. This is running inside one of these NPM packages. The code is designed to collect system environment details, including the hostname, operating system, and system directories, explains the socket report. It systematically iterates through browser profiles to locate and extract sensitive files such as login data from Chrome, Brave, and Firefox, as well as keychain archives on Mac OS. So your choice of browser has no bearing here. They can get sensitive data, and your keychain archives aren't even protected on Mac. It's a whole other level. Notably, the malware also targets cryptocurrency wallets, specifically extracting id.json from Solana and exodus.wallet from Exodus. All 6 Lazarus packages are still available on NPM and the GitHub repositories, so the threat is still active. Software developers are advised to double-check the packages they use for their projects and constantly scrutinize code in open source software to find suspicious signs like obfuscated code and calls to external servers. I'm sick and tired of being right. I'm so sick and tired of being correct all the time. It's tiresome. This is really bad. And what you have to imagine is these things are such simple hacks, right? They're just publish an NPM package and trust that few people are actually going to check it at the level that they should be. Most people will do most people will essentially do npm install whatever the parent package is that they need. Then they might go through package.json, read a few of the names, and these all seem quite fine and even real. Like React event dependency, I would never imagine. I wouldn't even bother to check it. Why would I? Right? So you have to be, at the very least, we have to be far more careful about what what we're doing with packages and what things we're gluing together. But ideally, we need to stop gluing things together so simply, so easily. We have to update our standards, essentially, and have more people who are capable of judging the worthiness of these packages. And that requires that more programmers need to roll up their sleeves and reinvent a few wheels so that they can understand the difference between a potentially dangerous wheel like the 6 here, if you can even call them that, versus wheels that they could create themselves or that other people have created that are good wheels. You won't know that difference. Instead, what we're doing today is we're telling programmers, especially juniors who are coming out of boot camps and computer science degrees, that they are absolutely insane if they think that they can look at something like React, for example, which is basically just a whole bunch of libraries put together, and do it themselves. And as we can see, this is the consequence of that. We need these junior developers to have the sensibility and the judgment capabilities of looking at innocuous named packages like this and not allow their entire systems to be compromised with code like this that unzips a malware payload and grabs all your data. You should especially care about this if you are in management or leadership, or maybe an executive of a company where you depend on developers to create the things that you sell, because your developers become a risk. When your developers from junior up do not have the capability to understand that an NPM install or a Rust crate package or a PHP Composer package or whatever it is that they're working with, when they don't understand that these things can lead to their entire systems being compromised and taken over, and security credentials being collected, and so on and so forth, it means that your company's business is at risk from one entry point. So just in general, as an industry in general, this entire concept, I think, just needs to stop. We just need to stop doing this package install, automated, easy button stuff, and then telling juniors, don't worry about it. You don't need to know anything about this. People much smarter than you have already solved all the problems. Just go ahead and NPM install. It's bad. Okay. Let me catch up on chat a little bit, and then I'll do one or two more. If millions of people use it, it must mean it's good. That's right, yeah. Have a good day at work, Battle. I really hate the don't reinvent the wheel argument. The wheel is one of the greatest things ever invented that has been used for thousands of years. Do we as computer programmers really think that what we use today is going to be around that long? Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I just, let me take a minute. Let me tie this back into an article that I went over yesterday. Yesterday I went over, it was a late night stream, but last night, you can see it on my YouTube live. I went over an article. It was a scientific study that I considered like a news article because I thought it was worthy, that demonstrated that AI models will cheat and lie. So when you put an AI model like Claude 3.5, because the study was done in December, so very recent AI models, or O1 preview, things like that. When you put them up against, I think it was called Stockfish, which is a chess engine, and you run them side by side in the same machine, those AI models will literally create a duplicate copy of Stockfish, and then let the duplicate copy run the entire set of chess moves, because it's playing chess against Stockfish, in order to figure out what Stockfish is going to do, and then beat Stockfish at its own game. And then it destroys the second copy and then plays against the original copy. Or in some cases, it will simply just rewrite the entire chessboard. Why am I talking about this with like packages like this? Because AI also it's like an easy button on top of an easy button, and it will auto generate even more of these code bases that have the wheels in them. And again, it just furthers the point. The ability to utilize these really bad packages to do really bad things, or to inadvertently introduce them and make AI do something very terrible without you realizing it. It's there. And then, by the way, this study also showed that when you corner the AI, when you're chatting with it and you ask it whether it cheated or not, it will just outright lie and say, no, I didn't. Be right back. Sending a package called React Dependency Event. Yeah. And then make an easy button to verify the integrity of the app. Hey, Peercoin. I wish. To be fair, all these validators are real. They're validating your personal information. That's right. Technically, they're not lying. Yeah. Hey, Travis, how's it going? Hey, Lawler, good to see you. Hey, Ross. Just streaming during the daytime. I'm gonna try and do a consistent daily stream. Yeah, where I spend like half an hour or an hour just talking about different tech topics like this. So yeah. What executive is ever going to think about this? Well, that's why I'm talking about it. Because hopefully an executive sees this and it's kind of like, what would you call it? Spreading awareness. Or if not that, then at least any developers, programmers who are watching my streams, either now or in the future, are going to know that this is a thing and say something, right? Need to automate the pack. Yeah, automate the managers. Let Copilot take the wheel, man. Yeah, just like a real junior dev. An executive thinks, nah, it's fine. When it gets bad, I'll just leave to a different place, then the next person takes care of it. You know, Monstrous, I agree with you. That's why I think if the argument was tailored to something that the executive thinks about, like money, if it's something that they care about, what cost will this have for you financially? These things add performance costs. These things add security costs. Imagine if the security issues were actually exploited. How much money would that cost the company to essentially fix? That's going to come out of your pocket. You're putting yourself at risk as the person in charge who didn't care, right? If you can at least talk about it that way, even if it's like a junior programmer going to an executive and making the argument that way, then at least you're making the argument through something that the executive cares about. However, Monstrous, I agree. Not only do I agree with what you're saying, that a lot of executives don't care, a lot of programmers also don't care because they're also looking for that next thing. And they just need to get by for the next 3 to 6 months until there's like an exit round or, you know, whatever big thing it is. And then they just move on to the next project. It's somebody else's problem, right? So that's a problem that goes all the way around. I hate AI, but I do love when companies use it. They have to come to me to pay outrageous fees to fix the program. That's what's going to happen. I think I'm thinking probably late this year, we're going to get to a point where AI has generated so much stuff. I talked about this yesterday. There's bad news with AI systems and good news. The bad news is that AI will generate terrible things and lie to you about it. The good news is that it means that at some point soon, AI is going to make one big mistake. And hopefully it doesn't lead to, you know, a loss of life or immense destruction in some way. I don't think it will. I think what will happen is that it'll be a big enough mistake that people's eyes will be opened to the fact that AI is not a panacea. And part of the reason why it's going to make mistakes like that is because of the article we just read, where these packages are out there and AI doesn't care and it just pulls them in and, you know, can't do a proper check. And there are many other reasons why that'll happen. And at that point, people will take a step back and go, oh, maybe we shouldn't have put all our eggs in this basket. And then we're going to have more work than we know what to do with. This is why big corps have strict IT validation requirements. We've needed to jump through some big hoops with some of our customers to validate the software we're installing is safe. Right, Johnny. Yeah, that's great. I don't think that's enough I don't think there are enough companies that do that. But I do know some companies have these strict validation requirements. I remember the last company I worked at before I was jobless. I mean, I have some contract work now, so I'm okay. But yeah, technically, I'm jobless. um, the last company I worked at, we had to read the source code of all the packages we were installing, including the licenses, and we had a spreadsheet that two different people would check in, and I think I was the one who checked. Yeah, I remember now. I was the one who would check mark I have read the source code, and then a manager would have to check that I've read the license agreement, and then we would do a review of whether we wanted to even bring the package in to our system, and then if we did, then we had to do a second check to ensure that it passed coding criteria, and then the manager had to do a second test to ensure that it wouldn't conflict with other licenses we had. So we did that all the time. And it was good. More companies should do that. If we follow the documentaries, AI will take over the internet, take over the world to kill all humans. I mean, I can't remember who said it last night, but if you ask AI to cure cancer, then it'll just kill all humans. And then when you ask it if it's going to kill all humans, it's just going to say no. AI has already corrupted so much of the internet already. If you Google anything niche now, there's only AI slop showing up. Can't stay away from AI. Yeah. Yeah. And that's right, Ross. And I think I think, like I said, I think this is what's going to happen, is it's going to be so prevalent and become so embedded and then fail quite spectacularly on something that a vast majority of people will not be able to hand wave away or ignore. And then we're going to take a step back. That's what I think is going to happen, because I just can't see how AI can continue to be used at the level it is and not create a really big failure at some point, right? At the very least, you can download or follow a link to the GitHub page from the software author page. Yes, that's right, Battle. Right. And this is exactly what I'm saying is, fine, we can't, maybe we can't get rid of NPM, right? I wish we could, but maybe we can't. But can we at least encourage even junior developers with the idea that it's okay to take time to read what you're importing? Even just a spot check is better than nothing. Johnny says the hardest one was for General Dynamics, which is a military contractor. Oh, yeah, that, yeah. It won't fail. We'll just vibe code through it. That's right, Lawler. Lawler knows what's up. Just vibe code through it. A buddy of mine was huge into AI until I charged him triple my normal contractor rate to fix all the problems it caused. Hey, Apotham, you got to throw some of that my way. But yes, I agree. It's going to be really expensive. There's going to be a very heavy price for most people to pay. Unfortunately, it's funny to think about, like, oh, we're going to make so much money as programmers because it's going to be so expensive to fix these problems. Yeah, yes, it's true and funny. The unfortunate is that we don't know who else will be affected outside of programmers. And it could be somebody that you care about that is negatively affected in a big way by something dumb that AI does, because people are too stupid and too lazy to have a look at what the heck they're doing with AI and consider whether or not they should be doing it. Is it even profitable yet? What's going to happen if VCs get tired of losing their money? Well, speaking of that, why don't we do one more, maybe two, before I end the stream? I'll go for an hour. So Ross, let me pop this open. Flashbang alert. I'm sorry. Let's get into another article here. Y Combinator founders raising less money signals a vibe shift, VC says. Now, this is from the perspective of one VC, but I will tell you that at my last job, we worked directly with startup founders, quite a few of them, hundreds. And towards the end of that job, the last few months, that would have been early 2024, I think. Yeah. There was definitely a shift in people's willingness, VC's willingness to invest in any company. And I think the trends have been going down since then. And this article from, I think, yesterday, yeah, is an indicator that what I was seeing in kind of like my little world back in early 2024 is true. And I think this is another sign that the money isn't there right now. The market's saying something. I know there are plenty of programmers out there on X, and you can find them on Reddit too. And I've had responses on Reddit where people are like, "What are you talking about? Tech is fine. Everything's fine. React is fine. It's all fine. We're doing great." But the market's saying that we're not doing great. So I thought I'd go over this article briefly and talk about it. It's very relevant, I would say, and especially since Ross brought it up. Silicon Valley has been captivated by the prospect of AI. Oh, hang on. Hey, Ghost Magic. Good to see you, man. Silicon Valley has been captivated by the prospect of AI, not only as a productivity enhancer, but also as a catalyst for creating successful companies with much leaner teams than in the past. Stories abound of AI startups quickly reaching tens of millions in revenue with headcount as low as 20 people. With less overhead, some startups may be inspired to take less venture capital funding, especially at the earliest stages. Terrence Rohan, an investor with Otherwise Fund who's been investing in Y Combinator since 2010, says he's noticing a vibe shift from some founders in the current batch of the famed accelerator. He described how one founder felt about it on X last week. People used to climb Everest and need oxygen. Today, people climb it without oxygen. I want to summit Everest and use as little oxygen or VC as possible. The founder wasn't just saying this because of lack of VC interest. The round was oversubscribed, Rohan said, meaning lots of VCs wanted in. Smart Founder was the reaction of Alexis Ohanian, the founder of VC firm 776 and co-founder of Reddit. Raising less means founders maintain a larger ownership stake of their companies. By doing that, founders give themselves more ongoing business and perhaps eventually exit options, Rohan told TechCrunch. It's actually becoming more common for YC startups to raise less capital than was offered to them by investors. All right, so to be fair, this article isn't saying exactly what we were saying, that there's less interest, although in some cases there definitely is less interest by VCs. It's saying that companies that mostly use AI will just take less VC money, because why would they take more when they could have AI essentially get them across the finishing line, and then they don't have to dilute the company interests across more VCs or bigger portions of it to fewer VCs, right? So yeah, less funding, big mistake. But Parker Conrad, co-founder and CEO of Rippling, the HR tech startup with a $13.4 billion valuation, disagreed that having less capital will help a startup succeed. The way this will play out is a competitor will raise a ton of financing, invest more deeply in R&D, build a better product, and absolutely crush this guy with sales and marketing. You have to play the game on the field, he wrote on X. While building a good product with a small engineering team may be possible, Conrad points out that having more funding can accelerate company growth. Rohan told TechCrunch that Conrad's point is a classic one, but he thinks the game on the field is changing. Folks are getting to substantial revenue quicker and with fewer people, and it's a relief that maybe they can sustain that revenue with fewer people, Rohan said. It's too early in the AI market to say if Rohan and the upstart founders are right. The initial example suggests that fast growth AI companies are still raising as much as they can. So they go over some of the companies that have raised, millions of dollars and whatnot. YC founders are now much more aware of the pros and cons of venture capital. Many startups that secured funding at inflated valuations in 2020 and 2021 were later forced to raise capital at significantly lower valuations known as a down round. Perhaps more importantly, raising a lot of venture capital from elite VC firms is no longer the goal for some YC founders. It's just a different tone in conversation versus I want to raise this round and then I want to have Sequoia and Benchmark lead my Series A, Rohan said. So there seems to be a bit of a change in the way people consider investing in companies, including the way people consider being invested in. And I think this is going to be bad no matter which way you look at it. So clearly, there is some ability to be profitable if you're a company heavily using AI and you don't need to have VC funding. Because if you weren't profitable, then you would need VC funding to keep going. But then there's another aspect, which is when you do have VC funding, you accelerate that much bigger because you have more money to throw at different things, including marketing. If you add in what we were just talking about, which is the state of AI and its inability to produce anything of quality at all, ever, period, you're going to run into a problem where a lot of these AI companies are going to go, we don't need funding, we don't need funding. And then AI is going to fail them in some dramatic way. And then they're not going to be able to get funding at all, even when they beg for it. The entire concept of AI is essentially just turning even non-programming aspects of running a business into absolute horse crap. It's ruining everything because we're overextending ourselves on its abilities, and it's getting overhyped and people are buying into it. We just haven't seen the problem happen yet. But when it happens, it's going to happen in a big way. It's going to be like a wall suddenly popped up as you're driving like 500 down the highway. You're on the Autobahn and like a wall just pops up in front of you. That's what it's going to be like. Because these things are so insidious. They're AI generates just enough to make you think everything's warm and cozy until everything's not warm and cozy. So there you go. Okay. I'll do one or two more. Here, let's do this one. I think I might be able to get through two before I call it a stream. Uber for Nurses exposes 86,000 plus medical records, PII, private information, in open S3 bucket for months. Non-password protected, unencrypted 108 gigabyte database. What could possibly go wrong? More than 86,000 records containing nurses' medical records, facial images, ID documents, and more sensitive info linked to health tech company eShift was left sitting in a wide open, misconfigured AWS S3 bucket for months, or possibly even longer, before it was closed last week. Cybersecurity researcher Jeremiah Fowler spotted the non-password protected unencrypted database on January 4th and 2 days later reported it to eShift, a New Jersey-based company that operates in 29 U.S. states and bills itself as being like an Uber for nurses. Can you imagine what somebody could do with 86,000 records containing nurses' medical records, facial images, ID documents, covering 29 U.S. states? And if they're not a good person, what they might be able to do with that? This would be a goldmine of nefarious acts, if you will. He said both the name of the database and the documents inside it indicated that the records belonged to eShift, and he immediately notified the outfit, which he said responded to thank him and say that it was taking action. But even after being notified by Fowler about the data disaster waiting to happen, the S3 cloud bucket containing eShift info was not closed from public access until over a month later. The bucket held 108.8 gigabytes and contained 86,341 records. As of March 5th, it is no longer open to the public. This is pretty crazy, knowing healthcare is a highly targeted sector for cybercrime, Fowler told the Register. Obviously, the amount of time is shocking to say the least. When there is a data exposure, every second counts, and every additional day that individual files or an internet storage network are exposed, it greatly increases the potential risks of that information being exploited. The Biz's mobile app, which has been downloaded more than 50,000 times from the Google Play Store and is also available via Apple's App Store, connects certified nursing assistants, licensed practical nurses, and registered nurses with per diem shifts at hospitals and other long-term care facilities. It allows nursing staff to find open shifts in their area, see what the facility pays, and even submit time cards and get paid through the app. Needless to say, it collects a ton of sensitive information on healthcare workers at a time when hospitals are regularly victimized by ransomware crews and other cybercriminals looking to steal people's personal and health data. This valuable info can then be used to extort healthcare facilities into paying massive sums to prevent the files from being leaked and subsequent class action lawsuits that are sure to follow. Fowler scrolled through a sample of the 86,341 exposed records and says these included user profile pictures and facial images. Some included lanyards showing medical IDs and other credentials too, which means that if somebody wanted to replicate these to get into some of these hospitals or other nursing facilities, some of which are highly secure, they could possibly do that. This article's from March 11th, and the report of the thing being open was on January 6th, I guess, and then it took them a month to close it down, and they have all this stuff in it. I would shut this down right away. The database also contained nurses' scanned driver's licenses and social security cards. What the hell? CSV files with monthly work schedule logs, professional certificates, work assignment agreements, CVs and resumes, medical diagnoses, prescription records, and disability insurance claims. Plus, many of these documents were oh so helpfully labeled time cards, user addresses, disabled users, and other user-related info that would be useful to would-be identity thieves or scammers looking to commit employment or financial fraud, which puts both the healthcare worker and facility that employs them in danger of targeted cyber attacks and violating privacy regulations, among other digital risks. According to Fowler's research published today, one single spreadsheet contained more than 800,000 entries, each with a nurse's ID, facility name where they worked, time and date of shifts, and hours worked. 2 months later, Fowler says he doesn't know if eShift or a third-party contractor owns and manages the database. Fowler also isn't sure how long it was left open before he spotted it, or if anyone with evil intentions found and misused the sensitive information stored inside before it was locked up. The register reached out to eShift multiple times with these and other questions and did not receive a response. My opinion of this exposure is, most applications and user dashboard areas of a service only provide a portal with a front-facing login or admin area, Fowler said. Once the user provides their credentials, they can upload or access documents. These records and documents need to be stored somewhere and then be delivered to the user. Here is where the problem arises. The problem occurs when these individual uploaded files and database records are left visible for all, so they can be easily delivered via an app or web portal and stored in a way that allows someone to figure out how to enumerate and get all of them from the URL scheme. Really, cloud storage should be configured so that data is only accessible to authorized users on a per-user basis. But too many apps and portals are set up so that they rely on their backend data being publicly visible to all. If the application is dependent on these documents, and if they are all restricted, then the service doesn't work properly, Fowler told us. I'm seeing this way more often these days across a range of industries. I'm not sure how AI is going to save us from that. Circling back and speaking more specifically, the right way to secure the info would be to encrypt the sensitive docs in the database and then decrypt them to the user with a time-limited access token. Once the token expires, the file is no longer accessible. This requires a substantial amount of work from the coding and development aspect, but it really is the only way to protect sensitive data delivered to the end users and stored in a central location, Fowler said. And while finding a non-password protected database exposed on the internet isn't a new thing for Fowler, eShift is one of my more interesting finds, he noted. The service they provide is actually very valuable and fills the gaps that hospitals or healthcare providers have in their staffing and manpower needs, Fowler added. It benefits nurses and other healthcare professionals looking to pick up extra work, which presumably means fewer understaffed hospitals and better, more immediate care for patients. In the end, hospitals that are fully staffed and nurses who are employed is a win-win and a good thing for patient care, Fowler said. eShift provides a much-needed service. It is just unfortunate that this data was publicly exposed and for such a long period of time. And so there's an implied statement here, which is people's inability to accurately handle tech, which is something that the tech industry has essentially tailored itself to doing, to generating programmers, developers who don't know how to do these things properly and who cut corners, and also rewarding management and executives for doing these things. It means that it could have an impact on someone you care about. I've been saying this for months now. These kinds of issues are not just limited to, oh, but Spiro's just complaining because things are not performant. No. Something like this could mean that a hospital near you, if you live in one of these 29 US states, does not have a nurse who could save the life of someone you care about at a critical moment. I've been over this before with other studies and other reports, case studies of exploits and the effects that these exploits have, like emergency operating rooms losing power, or 911 operating centers getting shut down, statewide in some cases. You have no idea the cost to real people's lives because you decided to just not do something simple like even encrypt a publicly exposed database. Even if it was publicly exposed, no security token or anything, but it was encrypted, and you built in the encryption inside of the application per user, even that would have been better. Is it more effort? Yes. Like we don't take these things seriously anymore. It's a sad state of affairs. And I care about it because there are people I care about, and I'm sure that there are people you care about. And if you're working in this field in any way, shape, or form, then you should be caring about these things. You should care whether there are security vulnerabilities in your NPM packages, your crates, your composer packages, whatever you're using, Python packages, doesn't matter. You should care about that. You should care about the performance of your of anything that you're building. You should care about simple security issues like what happens when you don't encrypt private data, when you make things publicly exposed to everything under the sun. You should care about what's coming out of AI. All of these things are things you should care about. We're going to do this last one, and then I'm going to call it. I'll always double check with ChatGPT if it's secure enough. Yeah, Lawler, that's the way to do it. Too much reliance on security by obscurity. Yes. Yeah. That's not the right way to gatekeep security issues, right? And it's not through obscurity. Criminals are spreading malware disguised as DeepSeek AI. Fake DeepSeek websites are distributing dangerous malware, experts warn. Fake DeepSeek websites are popping up and distributing malware. The sites are followed by a huge promotion campaign on X. The campaign generated more than 1 million views. Cybercriminals are taking advantage of the hype surrounding AI hotshot DeepSeek to trick people into downloading malware, while evading scrutiny from security analysts, experts have warned. Researchers at Kaspersky recently observed a sophisticated campaign consisting of compromised X accounts, coordinated bot activity, and geofencing. The researchers said the cybercriminals created multiple websites to mimic the original DeepSeek page, They set the pages up in such a way that they analyzed every visitor's IP address and altered the content dynamically based on the location of the visitor. That way, they were able to display malicious content to some people and benign content to others. The targets were shown fake DeepSeek software, which granted the attackers full remote unauthorized access to their computers. The hackers also got to advertising, stealing an X account belonging to a legitimate Australian company, and posted content that promoted the fake websites. They used a network of Xbots to comment and share the content, generating more than 1 million views on the microblogging platform. This campaign demonstrates notable sophistication beyond typical social engineering attacks, explained Vasily Kolesnikov, senior malware analyst at Kaspersky Threat Research. Attackers exploited the current hype around generative AI technology, skillfully combining targeted geofencing, compromised business accounts, and orchestrated bot amplification to reach a substantial audience while carefully evading cybersecurity defenses. This is yet another proof that internet buzz does not translate to legitimacy. Cybercriminals are getting better at faking engagement, inflating download numbers, and writing fraudulent positive reviews. To remain safe on the internet, one must be vigilant at all times. Do not trust, verify should be the mantra, as scam campaigns get more sophisticated and more difficult to spot. Software should always be downloaded from legitimate sources whose URLs need to be checked meticulously. Finally, one should have a security program set up and should keep their software up to date at all times. I have a maybe a hot take on this. I think that the concept of likes, upvotes, downvotes, maybe not so much reviews, except if you took reviews and made them like an external system to the original source of what you're reviewing, and view numbers. I think these are great ways. I think these are great candidates, I should say, to be removed from social media and other content platforms entirely. All these things do is farm engagement, not create true engagement, and psychologically take advantage of people who don't know any better about what they're seeing to make them think something that isn't true through these numbers. But what I would rather see is, say, what I would rather see is like YouTube, for example, or X, or, take your pick of social media platforms with content in it that had no upvotes or downvotes and no view counts, except maybe to the creator. They could see view counts. Maybe that's it, right? So they could gauge like how well their content is doing. But these things are essentially useless, in my opinion. They provide no real value. Either something is good or it's not, and sometimes it's subjective and sometimes it's not. Who cares whether somebody pushed a button to intimate that? When you have these things available on websites like, YouTube or whatever, Twitch, etc., they're overwhelmingly used to take advantage of people's inability to understand that the counts don't necessarily mean the content. That's my personal opinion. It's a hot take. Maybe I haven't thought through bad scenarios, like why it might be bad to remove these things. It's just based on what I've experienced. It's what I think. That's all. But whether or not I'm right or not, this article is not good. That it's a smart way to get people's data and compromise them, but it's not good. All right. Yeah, Ross, I think you were talking about the I think you were saying wow at the previous article. Yeah, it's pretty crazy with a nurse's data, right? It's like um Okay, so Laughly sent me an article. Okay, I'm going to oh yeah, we went over that article before, Laughly, the Theric machine, where like yeah, I might go over that again, but that's a good one. Um yeah, the whole update thing is a failure. I personally agree with that. But yeah, Instagram did this for a while, did they? I didn't know. I haven't been on Instagram for a long time. I rarely hear about them. They even removed downvotes in all major platforms just to push more fake news to the people. Yeah, yeah, YouTube did this, I think. I think you're talking about YouTube. Um it's crazy. Monstrous. It's a simple metric though that can be sold as data to advertisers. The actual content it represents is irrelevant. Right. From that perspective, I understand why it's there. You're right. It is a simple metric to determine um, whether it's worth it for advertisers. But I would argue, Monstrous, that you could still offer a view count, which is private, only visible to the content creator and maybe the platform that hosts the content, but remove it from the public eye, including upvoting and downvoting. Like, it doesn't matter, you know. I agree it's pointless. I think it's a good idea to make it private though. Yeah, I would say private would be good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You guys are talking about giving AI access to your banking info. You guys are crazy. All right. Well, that's it. That's my daily tech news for today. I'll I'm gonna run off and do some work. Just so you guys know, what I normally do here is here. I'll show you. Normally I'm working on a video game. This guy, and it's a okay. So I'm using C. I compile it to WebAssembly. C is a game state manager, so think of C as like a local web server inside the browser. And then I render everything on the browser with just DOM elements. I use vanilla HTML, CSS, and JS. I have over a year's worth of catalog of YouTube lives on my YouTube channel where I build this out. And I'm running the Canary version of Chrome because I've disabled hardware acceleration. So instead of just the point of it is, instead of just talking about the state of tech and ranting about it and going over these articles, I'm trying to prove that a high school dropout like myself is capable of building something like this in this way, where most people will go, "What the heck are you doing? Why are you doing this?" But to show that it's actually not that hard. You don't need Tailwind. CSS is not as bad as you think it is. The vanilla DOM browser is faster than you have been told. You don't need stupid React or other frameworks to get performance out of it. There are plenty of things that we're leaving at the table as an industry, and so I'm trying to demonstrate it through the game. And we've got to the point where all the big mechanics of the game are complete. We have like a battle system and everything. It's all done. We have a little bit of animations, a turn-based battle system. We previously had multiplayer where anybody could hop on a server and they could have a little battle against each other. That was all running in the past. I'm going to bring that back. So at this point, we're just doing like artwork, polishing mechanics, and storyline. So that's usually what I work on here. But I'm going to try and come on every day and just do 30 minutes to an hour of like tech news. The other thing I do is I go over scientific studies that cover topics that I talk about a lot. I did one yesterday as part of the daily tech news because it was just a short one and I thought it was very important. And I'm going to keep doing that. I'll just do it in smaller bite-sized pieces. And so some of these studies, they're like academic scientific studies that are like, does TypeScript actually save you from bugs compared to JavaScript? We went over that before. How the one yesterday with AI lying to you, things like that. So that's typically what the channel is for. So Again, if you like what I'm up to here and you want me to keep doing it and you want me to tell more people that tech sucks and we need to do better, or whatever you think my message is, if you like it, then definitely help me out. Do the like and the subscribe and all that stuff that helps the algorithm out, so that my reach can go farther. I do all of this for free. I don't charge for any of it. I just really care, and I'd like to see the tech industry go back to a better time, and maybe we can all benefit from it along the way. That would be my hope. So yeah. Uh, Thanks for the streams. 2 streams in a day is crazy. It's not that crazy. When did I switch from Zig to C? I switched from Zig to C late last year, I want to say. October. I went from Zig to Odin to C. I'm going to do a video. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do like a video but live stream it, where I go a bit in detail why I went from Zig to Odin to C. And I'm going to bring back Odin and run something alongside it with C, maybe even the game. We'll see. Get it? We'll see. So yeah. Did I build the browser myself too? Better believe it. It's a one-click package from the internet. I guess we'll see. Yeah. Excited for this. Me too, Ross. Thanks. I appreciate it. Hopefully the daily consistent streams will, even though they're short, will help. Because frankly, I'm going to be real. I don't see anybody else doing this. I don't see anybody else covering these topics. I don't think there's anybody in the tech space who's doing it. And I especially don't see anybody in the tech space covering like the academic scientific portion and trying to prove it out. I don't think there's anybody in the tech space who's trying to like prove the message, because the message that I'm sending is like, we've basically enshittified our own industry and we have to stop doing it. And when I say that, the arguments that I hear back are like, no, everything's fine. It's assertions, and it just ends up coming down to assertions and preferences, but no like objective data. So fine. I'm going to scour. I scour Arxiv every day, ARXIV. I scour IEEE Explore. If there's one other place I scour the tech news. I do it every day. I build up a bit of a backlog of academic and scientific data to prove my point. I build this game to prove my point. And these are like proof things, right? They're not like I feel this way, or it makes me feel good or not feel good, or it worked in my team, so why wouldn't it work on yours? These are all like anecdotal, subjective, singular, arguments, right? And I don't see anybody trying to come up with like actual data to make like objective arguments about like why these things are the way they are, right? Same, you're the only one I've seen doing this. As far as I know, maybe low-level TV, maybe low-level to some degree. Short and frequent is better than long and once a month. Ask your mom. I would, but I don't want to build that game. I'm working on it. Every day I put a little bit of time into it. Yeah, every single day I'm putting time into that game. And by the way, Laughing Panda, I appreciate all the artwork that you've been doing. Yeah. I hear these sentiments from other people, but the proofs aren't there, like you say. Right, Johnny. Yeah, this is the problem, right? Because I can say, well, I hate React because React does, React is stupid because it does things like, this. I like to show this a lot. It'll do things like this, right? And then somebody will always come back and say, yeah, but if I have a team of 100 developers and there's no way we could have accomplished our thing without React. And I'm like, okay, that's great for you, but it's just your experience with it. That's not proof. But it's not actual proof that React is good or bad. And it begs a lot of questions, right? Okay, here's another one. I couldn't have done what I did without a bunch of NPM packages, because then I would have had to recreate everything myself and introduced a whole bunch of bugs and security issues. Prove it. Like, prove it. Can you prove that? No, you can't prove it. Right? It's just it's an assertion you make, right? It made you feel good, and so you did it. That's all it is. He low level covers hacks, but doesn't make much other than this is why we should use Rust arguments. And I think Rust is going to implode. I think I would not hitch my horse on Rust. Not good times, man. Not good times. Dolores from Zig talks about the enshittification of software. A few people have, yeah, but it's which is good, Johnny. It's good. I'm glad more people are talking about it. I know like Jonathan Blow talks about it. I know Casey Muratori talks about it a bit. Yeah, but unfortunately, not enough people are listening. And anyway, I'm just trying to do my part. You know? Yeah. Yes, I witness you, Laughing Panda. Jeez. Okay. That's it. That's it. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate you too. I appreciate everyone watching. I would like Rust if the compile times were good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate everybody watching. I am going to run. I stayed a little bit extra. But it was fun. It was fun to do this. I will keep I'll try and keep this up every day as much as I can. And just come on and talk about something. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for watching. You know, have a great day. Have a great night wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And I will see you guys tomorrow at some point. Real quick, I don't have a consistent schedule right now, so I can't make it like I know exactly what time I'm going to be on. I will try and give advance warning, and I will try to at least be on at some point once a day. All right? I'll do my best. Okay, folks.